people don't understand the possibilities. They don't understand the power of prevention. They don't understand how impactful it can really be, to make a lot of these necessary shifts in your lifestyle, in your diet, and the way that you move, sleep, exercise, deal with, relate to other people, handle stress, all of those things. I think that's a common misconception.
Healers come from all different backgrounds. And today we're going to talk about what is the journey from being a medical doctor to becoming a health coach. I've been was a medical doctor for 25 years, became a health coach. And our lovely, amazing guest, Dr. Rana, is a medical doctor. Welcome, Dr. Rana.
Thank you for having me.
I am loving hearing about your story and also about the incredible power of adding coaching, the value of coaching to the life and work of a physician. And there's a variety of ways that that can look. We're going to explore what does that look like for you, your practice. How has that been great? How have you gone from an incredible neurologist to integrative and functional medicine and really therapeutic lifestyle medicine coaching, and the blending of all of that to serve patients, clients even better than any one of those modalities alone. So we're going to dive deep into that. And of course, with neurology as your background, we're going to be talking about cognitive decline, mental health, but really it impacts the whole body. So I'm so excited to have you with us. Tell us, what led you to be a neurologist or become a doctor in the first place? And then tell us about that journey to become a health coach.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity. I would say my journey started really, really young. Before I hit double digits, I was surrounded by family members, many family members who were in the medical profession. My father was a physician and really looked up to a lot of these, family mentors that were physicians. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to be a healer of some sort and wanted to be in healthcare of some sort. And kind of figured out, by high school that, yeah, I probably, when I go to college, want to be on a track to be pre-med and then go to medical school. And that's essentially what I did. And, I finished medical school and did, traditional training and residency and became a neurologist and practiced traditionally for a few years. And then my path sort of veered off from there. So I don't know if that's the
No, and
direction.
that's perfect. And I mean, because a lot of people, and I've been asked this too, why would a doctor become a health coach? And a lot of people view it as almost like a demotion. But that was not the case for you or I. Both of us had successful medical careers at the top of our game. But instead of trying to do less, our goal was to do more because we were noticing some limits within the current way we were doing things. And so I know that you love the analytics of medicine and neurology in that in particular. I know you weren't really looking at necessarily to do something that was surgical, but you love that. That led you into neurology. Now you're seeing these people. What had you decide to go into and explore integrative medicine and functional medicine? What was the call there? Because within the medical community, like sometimes there's finger pointing back and forth. I think more and more it's becoming more accepted, and in some cases desired. But especially in those early days, you run the risk of being labeled as a quack or something if you do something outside of exactly the only thing that this one old textbook taught you. And so tell us a little bit about the inspiration to go into integrative and functional medicine and some of the benefits that you saw from that.
Yeah, happy to answer that. So I would say it was a couple things. One was I was noticing in my practice,
Mhm.
treating patients, that I felt I had a lot of limitations. And my field, especially the field of neurology, there is a lot of complex chronic disease that happens in neurology, a lot of
Yes.
neurodegenerative disease, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, ALS, a lot of chronic complex disease that I felt very limited with my tools, and I wanted to be able to serve people better to, provide, more tools to them. And, there is a joke that in neurology, sometimes it's diagnose and adios because
Yeah.
I mean, and then things are changing. The landscape is changing. There's more, pharmaceuticals and all the options are expanding, but really, especially in neurology, of all the fields within internal medicine, I would say, I felt limited and strapped. So that
Yeah.
was number one. Number two, I was dealing with some, chronic health issues of my own, some
Mhm.
autoimmune issues, some gut issues. Family members, dealing with things like chronic migraines, insomnia. One of my children was high functioning on the autism spectrum. I just wanted to figure out, what are other tools out there? What else, how
Mhm.
else can I serve my patients, myself, and my family?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And so, what are some of the results that you've seen by being able to integrate it? I remember you sharing with me this woman with debilitating multiple sclerosis and how, you know, there's the one path that's traditional, but when you blend in some of these other elements, the results for your patient or your client is you know exponential. You share a couple of examples of how adding on this coaching component really is additive and not subtractive from the results you get.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the patient you referenced, she'd been dealing with, a primary progressive form of multiple sclerosis for decades and was, reliant on a lot of assistive devices, was not able to exercise, was dealing with a lot of other chronic health issues, gut issues, allergies, things like that. And we worked very closely together. This was before my actual health coaching career sort of
Hmm.
kind of exploded. It was when I was practicing as a functional medicine doctor in the clinic more traditionally. But this particular patient kept coming back, regularly,
Mm.
routinely. And
Yeah.
I was inevitably coaching her along the way. She made radical shifts in her diet and lifestyle, to the point where she was able to function at times without assistive devices. She was able to exercise in some modified ways. She was able to really improve her energy. And, energy and fatigue is a big issue in multiple sclerosis.
Hmm.
Um, so, a lot of things, her gut health improved as well, allergy issues improved. So it was really, really pleasing to see. And it really drove it home for me that this is the right path to be on.
Yeah, that's huge. It sounds like that was like a little inspiration, a little snag, like, hey, let's explore this. Any other examples to share?
Yeah. I had a young woman. She, I think, was 19 when I first started working with her. Her mom was the one who brought her. Long history of attention deficit disorder. Very, very bright girl. Had gotten into college, into, I don't remember which college, but a good college, and was really struggling, like really, really struggling to kind of
Mhm.
keep up with her studies. Um, and she'd had also other mental health issues, depression, things like that, that were pretty serious.
Mhm.
And, it took some convincing. I remember it took like a good 6 months for me just kind of nudging the lifestyle changes, especially diet changes.
Mhm.
And I will never forget that she and her mother came to my office about 6 months after my first initial visit with her. And she starts bawling. And she's like, I did what you told me to do. I eliminated a bunch of foods and then I reintroduced some of them. And it was like a dark cloud just came on to me. It was like my mood. So these foods were certainly 100% affecting her mental health and her cognition. I mean, she was able
Yes.
to concentrate better. And not at that point, that was very early on, but I
Yeah.
can continue to work with her throughout the rest of the year. Um, she became a successful student, and she never looked back. And she had an all beige diet, I will tell you. She admitted it.
Yeah.
My diet is all beige, not a single fruit or vegetable.
Yeah.
And, she wasn't like my star student in terms of diet in the end, but she made enough changes that it made a difference.
Yeah, and it's huge, and just even for people to realize they have some control, like they're not a victim of their diagnosis. It's it's not audiosis. No, it's not audios, as you say. Like that there are things that they can do, that they can take, back control of that. Yeah, so that is that what had you bring in that lifestyle medicine component into your practice?
Yes. So I would say pretty early on practicing functional medicine, there was a group, they still exist, the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy,
Mhm.
and they were training health coaches. So health coaches in training, and they had a pilot program where you could assign your patients to work with their coaches for a very nominal fee. And I will tell you that my most successful patients were those patients that signed up to work with these health coaches,
Yeah,
that were in training, that were students. They were exceedingly the most successful patients that I work with. And that really stuck with me, really, really stuck with me. And I think that's what kind of propelled me to kind of like take on the role of the coach as well, working with patients. Um, and then at one point I realized, even with all my tools, I'm a traditionally trained doctor. I learned integrative medicine, functional medicine. I have all these tools. I'm working more holistically, so to speak. I realized I still had limitations because
yeah,
you would see a patient for an hour consultation. You would make some diet and lifestyle recommendations. Here's your diet. Here's some handouts on, breath techniques. Here's this, here's that. And by the way, here's some labs to do. I'll see you in a month. You
yeah,
know, um, for some people, they were able to stick with things and figure out diet and figure out lifestyle changes on their own within that
mm,
month and then beyond.
yeah,
But yeah, a lot of people didn't follow up. I just kept scratching my head. Where did they go? What happened to
yeah,
them? Curiosity. And that was kind of, I think, the tipping point for me where I said, I really enjoy the coaching. I enjoy the teacher aspect,
yeah,
and like just kind of guiding people and seeing those transformations, seeing
yeah,
the success, so that's what kind of propelled me to really transform my practice all over again,
yeah,
and make the focus really on this lifestyle medicine piece, on this coaching piece, on the health coaching, on teaching people all aspects of how to eat, breathe, sleep, relate to other people, have a spiritual sense of self. Just all those pieces, need to fall into place
yeah.
for to really have whole health and healing.
I love that. I that's very similar to what was happening for me. And I was a radiologist, and as a radiologist, you don't have a lot of patient contact. But I was in ultrasound, so I did have maybe more than some other radiologists, and I did interventional as well, so that you're talking to your patients in that brief amount of time. And I just really knew that if we could just help people get out ahead of it, we could prevent a lot of this needless suffering. But also, like, that there was more that we could do. There was more that they could do, but they didn't know that. And way back when, I didn't know how we could do that. But once I started coaching myself, so rewarding. Um, so much more, as I call it, soul satisfying to see that. What's your favorite part of being a health coach?
I would say it's just seeing that transformative effect,
Yeah,
seeing people go from, A to Z or almost Z,
yeah,
like just seeing like and the possibilities and things that people thought were never possible, and
mhm,
like having not only their primary concerns improve, but, side benefits and, like other aspects of their health and their lives improving as well. Um, I also like how it's just allowed me to kind of take control of my own career and really be, you know, in control of my schedule, in control of, you know, like just who I work with, because I love working with people that are motivated, that are dedicated, that have some diligence, because those are the most successful
Yeah,
people.
oh, I absolutely hear you on that. I mean, as on all parts of that. So as much as medicine is great and it absolutely has its place, you and I definitely know that there are some things that those tools are the best for.
Right.
But as a doctor, if we're just talking about as a physician, you do not have control over your schedule at all. And you do not have control over who you help. I mean, they're there. You help them whether they want it or not, and whether you want it or not. But
Right.
that client interaction, it's different. So you can work with who you want, when you want, how you want, where you want. That freedom for me is everything. And I found that I didn't have to choose between making a living and then actually living. So as a traditional medical doctor, you are going to have to choose your career over your family. Let's
Right.
be real. It's going to happen. You might want to go to the award ceremony, the birthday party, the whatever it is, but you're not. You're not going to. And which is fine, and there's some advantages, and we need people who are still doing those things. But
Right.
we also need this other brand of health coach, I call it, and we really probably need, maybe it's a physician coach or lifestyle medicine specialist that has that background, but then has the willingness, not all people have that willingness, to kind of link arms and hold hands through that process. But I got to tell you, I'm with you on the transformations. That was my favorite part too. Like, and I love all types of before and afters, whether it's a house, a fixer upper that they've transformed. I'm like, wow, or a rags to riches story or a health transformation. I just can't get enough of those transformations. And I was stunned at what could be done. Mainly
Right.
by listening, and some dietary changes would be the primary thing, and just helping address stress. When I was a health coach, at one point, I had all of my health coach clients off all their medicine, all their medications. I didn't take them off, their doctors did. But through those changes, I was like, I didn't even know that that was possible back
Right.
then. And now we see it routinely, and it's nice for people to have an option. Like, and sometimes if they're not making those changes or they don't want to make those changes, then yeah, take the pill. But sometimes like all pills have side effects, and maybe people don't want that, and maybe they want to have that extra option. And so I really commend you, because we are taking the road less traveled. Most doctors aren't here, and we will get arrows shot at us from our own colleagues who are disapproving or whatever, or wondering what we're doing. But once you see the benefit for the human, for the person, it's
Right.
why I went into medicine. In my experience, everybody in my medical class, I know them, and I know they went into medicine to help people be healthy, to
Right.
relieve suffering, every single one of them. Now, fast forward 20, 30 years of abuse in the medical system, and no sleeping, no eating, no seeing your loved ones, blah, blah, blah. They might not still have that twinkle in their eye when they approach the patient. It might be a different story, but they started out there, and it's a way to reconnect with that transformation. I just love that. And I love, as you said, being able to set your own hours. About how many hours a week would you work now? Or how is your practice different now, doing the work you do, versus, say, as a doctor? Like, what are we talking about in your particular case?
Well, I set hours mainly Tuesday through Thursday. I do have some spillover occasionally on Mondays and Friday mornings. But it's a very flexible. I'm able to, if I want to get my workouts in, I can get them in, and then schedule people around that. So it's very flexible. It's nice. I would say I'm still part-time, and if I add up all my hours, it's not a full-time job, but it's just enough that I feel like it's, satisfying.
Yeah, yeah. You find that balance, and everybody has that balance. But the nice thing is, you're in charge of that. You're in control of that. And if something comes up super fun or super traumatic or whatever that comes up in your life, you can adapt to it easily. There's
Right.
no asking somebody or trying to find someone to cover you. There's none of that. And I really have appreciated uh, our this ability to have this practice. It's a win-win really all the way around.
Yep.
If our audience, if someone out there is listening and they're a doctor and they're wondering about, how could I become a health coach, or is this something that might be something that I want to do? Just, click a link below there. There'll be a description on, I don't train health coaches, but presumably you're already trained. But there's a link on how you would start and ignite your health coaching practice. You can take a look there, and happy to answer questions. I wish I'd have known about this a long time ago when I started. I I didn't know of anyone else who had done this before, and I didn't even know if it was possible, but it absolutely is possible, and it is, I mean, frankly, if somebody had a showed me this option years ago, they would have had me at no call. Just about having to do call would have been like music to my ears. But that freedom, but still making that healing difference. For me, it's always been about helping people live their longest, healthiest, happiest lives, and we still get to do that. So, and in our own way, and you can develop your own specialty. So, who are you especially passionate? I know you work with people, like you said, that woman with MS, and people with ADD and fibromyalgia and a variety of other, all sorts of things, autoimmune conditions. But for you, who are you most passionate about helping these days?
Quite honestly, when I started, what I call medical school too, which was integrative medicine, functional medicine,
Yes, yes.
one of my biggest drivers was I always felt like, there should be this field of preventative neurology, where we're getting to people before, things are really kind of out of control with their disease course. So, I'm really passionate about helping people prevent and treat things like cognitive decline, especially early cognitive decline, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and things like that. So that is a passion of mine. I love the brain. It's one of my passions.
Yes.
So I do like to work with I tend to work with people around middle age because that
Mhm.
is around the time where health issues start creeping up that can over the next couple of decades manifest into things that are much more difficult to treat. I tend to see a lot of women in the perimenopausal menopausal period with hormonal issues, inflammation, immune imbalance, brain fog, gut issues, just kind of like a lot of kind of like collective symptoms that are likely additively kind of you know, complicating their health.
Yeah.
Um, but I also see men and younger women, and I still kind of see a lot of the whole spectrum of people, I would say. But
Mhm.
I would say my passion is, middle-aged women, in those perimenopausal, menopausal years, with hormonal imbalance, which can be, a lot of reasons why your hormones are off. It could be your gut, it could be toxins on board, it could be, it could be so many things. So, a lot to unpack.
Yeah, and it really does take, like, diving in deep on that and closely connecting with someone to really unpack that properly, to get to the bottom of it and root of it, as it were. What's something that you've learned from working with your clients? So in this way, you get a closer connection with them. Any observations that you've had working with them in this regard?
I would say the biggest thing is that everybody's so different and everybody's so unique and everybody goes at their own pace. You think you have like a whole program set for people and they're going to follow it. Everybody's going to follow it at the same pace. They
Yeah.
don't. And you have to give people grace and you have to meet people where they're at and you have to, not make them feel guilty for not moving as quickly as you would would hope for them to move. And in the end, everybody has gains. So that's, I think, the biggest thing I've learned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would agree that it's a common thread, right? There's we are all so unique, and it's about respecting that and accessing our inner healer. So I think it's really realizing what makes a particular person tick, and we all have different food intolerances and so on, and preferences, and in things we like to do for activities and all sorts of things and stressors and yeah, so it's really meeting them where they're at. I love that. uh, as a medical doctor, me, but as a medical doctor, you're in your case as a neurologist, functional integrative medical doctor turned integrative lifestyle medicine coach, therapeutic coaching. What's one of the myths you'd say, either in the role of coaching or in the role of preventative medicine that you've seen?
Probably that uh, people don't understand the possibilities. They don't understand the power of prevention. They don't understand how impactful it can really be, to make a lot of these necessary shifts in your lifestyle, in your diet, and the way that you move, sleep, exercise, deal with, relate to other people, handle stress, all of those things. I think that's a common misconception. I think, we're we're in a very pharmaceutically driven, world. We're, in
Mhm.
the food industry and agricultural industry, they're all kind of enmeshed with each other. So I think it's people are there's a little bit of brainwash, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize the power, really the true power of addressing therapeutic lifestyle change.
Yeah, and it's those little details that make a big difference. And I think people don't change because they don't think it will make a difference. And
Right.
that woman that you talked about earlier with debilitating multiple sclerosis and not able to walk, and then able to walk without a device and assistance. I mean, that's huge by implementing lifestyle changes. Or the other woman that wasn't able to uh, be successful in school, in college, and she was just really struggling, and then implementing these changes over time, not overnight, but over time, and then to be in tears in your office in a happy way, just so thankful
Right.
because she was able to be successful. So I think I love that. I think yeah, I think one of the things is that it doesn't make a difference. And it is a complex issue because we live in a society that does have all of these well-established systems.
Yes.
And the part of us, I believe, that gets forgotten is the individual's heart and soul, and the role that they play in their own body. And
Right.
and to be fair, sometimes people just, come to the doctor's office and says, "Fix me." Like, "Here I
Hmm.
am, fix me. I don't wanna do anything. Just get your scalpel, get your pill, fix me." But I think more and more and more people are waking up to the fact that, you know what? Uh, that's not really solving anything. I mean, it's good in a crisis, and if that's all we can do and we can need to do it quickly, but we could have prevented that whole time-consuming, painful journey, and to help people get out ahead of it. And I really love what you'd said at the beginning about being a neurologist and feeling like it kind of sucked that it was just diagnose and adios. I had not heard that before. And then really feeling like, hey, there's a role for preventative neurology. How can I get out there and help people with cognitive decline? And I super appreciate the work that you do. It's so powerful to blend the best of, traditional medicine and the best of, holistic coaching, and to really, the person who benefits the most is the patient, the client. And I love that. So thank you for the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you are listening in and you have questions for Dr. Rana, either maybe you're suffering with something and you're like, hey, I'd like her take on this. She's the kind of doctor I'm looking for. I want that kind of doctor that is integrative and functional. And I want to pick her brain, or I would love for her to hold my hand through something. Comment below. We'll give you in a moment a way to connect with her and reach out to her. But definitely reach out, or if you have a question, pop it in the comments, and she can answer. And feel free to ask me questions as well. So appreciate that. So this whole journey from neurologist, medical doctor, to coaching in the traditional system, to kind of bridging both worlds. How have you yourself personally grown through that experience?
I guess if I were to go back and talk to my younger self, I would tell her, that your options are not limited, that there is a different way, a different path, and yeah, you know, for yourself, for your family members, for your
Mhm.
patients, there is a different way to kind of go about healing, in general. And things aren't as limited as you think.
Yeah, and really, I feel like this venturing out into coaching, the biggest difference for a physician going to become a health coach is we've become an entrepreneur, and we didn't know we were going to be business owners. I never wanted that. You probably that was probably not your aspirations. Like, my brothers went into business. If I'd have wanted to go into business, I'd have gone into business, but I went into medicine to heal. And then to say, hey, if I really want to do this healing work, uh, I got to go into business. And entrepreneurs exist to solve problems. And when you see a gap and you see a problem and you have a solution, there you go, you're in business. And so, just that whole journey of learning how to do that is, well, that's why we exist at the Health Professional Academy. That's what we help people do, is take this great healing talent and then be able to serve the world in other way with
Sure.
your gifts, which is easier said than done for a lot of people. But it's so important. Look at the difference that you've been able to make, and then there's a ripple effect. So it's not just the client or just the patient that you're helping.
Yeah.
There's a ripple. So to that end, one of my favorite things to ask people is, when you've had people come to you and they're coming to you with problem X, I know, because the body's all connected. And when we help with one thing, we help with all sorts of things. There's like a ripple and spin-off benefit into other
Right.
things that improve for themselves or others. Do you have a few stories that you would love to share? I'd love for you to share those stories, because it really speaks to what happens when we get to the root cause and really transform people's health.
Yeah, that's what we talk about, transforming people's health in so many more ways than one. I mean, yeah, I had a young woman with an autoimmune condition causing hair loss, alopecia, who restored hair growth. But not only that, she really had improvements in her hormonal health. She had PCOS, was basically never having a cycle. She was all of a sudden cycling again, just through diet and lifestyle shifts. Her mood improved as well.
And
Somebody
that
else.
could even improve her fertility. I mean, if we've improved her
Exactly.
PCOS, we could be bringing new life into, just by from
Exactly.
that, you know, dealing with the alopecia. The spin-off benefits are great.
Yeah.
Great when you go it this way. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. A gentleman with irritable bowel syndrome, chronic constipation. He other things improved. He was all of a sudden sleeping better. He had some like vascular insufficiency issues, and those improved as well. A woman with a new, fresh diagnosis of seronegative rheumatoid arthritis. All of her symptoms just disappeared. She had improvement in her sleep. She had improvement in menopausal issues. A lot of things improved for her as well. Um, I had a woman recently, just starting into like menopause. Like she just had her 12th month without a period and
Yeah.
was all the symptoms of menopause, having some GI issues, energy issues as well. Uh, her husband was starting to kind of catch on and, learn a little bit of what she was learning, and she was making different food, and he started losing a lot of weight, so a lot of spin-off benefits, not only for the clients, but for family members too.
Yeah, I love that. I hear it all the time because the person is not a person in isolation. And as so you're helping her with menopause, but you're helping him as well. And like it's almost through osmosis, but like if she's doing, bringing the food into the house, or if she's,
Right.
adding in a walk after dinner or something, other people will benefit too. And I love that. And I think that's, it's why I love the work that I get to do. I know it's why you love the work you get to do, because the spin-off benefits are so great. So I love that. How can people get in touch with you if they have questions, Dr. Rana? What's the best way?
Oh, my website's probably primarily my website, drranamd.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Dr. Rana MD.
Okay, so that's DrRanamD.com, drrana.com. Check it out. Check her out on Instagram, social media. And she is just, we haven't even gone into all of the accolades that are really due. You have many certifications. You can see a few of them hanging on the wall behind you, but you're incredibly talented. You are the real deal. You have a lot of heart. Um, and you really care about the people that you serve. Um, and even if you're going through your own, personal things, we all have our own bodies that we're going through and we're learning from, and then you translate that learning over to assist others. And I really appreciate you for the work you do and for showing up and shining your light, leading with love, as we say. And if you guys are listening, I highly encourage you to check Dr. Rana out, and also check out this interview from Petra. She also came from a family of doctors, but she's in Switzerland, and she has a corporate background and adrenal burnout. And so if that is sort of calling your name, and how did she carve out a health coaching practice from a corporate background? How did she become a health coach? Check that one out. And with that, that's it for this episode of Health Coach TV. Have a fantastic week. And of course, thank you, Dr. Rana, and be good for you.